Hey guys, I just wanted to do a quick review of Coinbase. Um, Seems to be a fairly common question. One, how do you buy Bitcoin? And Coinbase usually comes up, and I think I just wanted to give my input on that. I think these questions can be answered in a little bit more detail. I'll put a link below to this right here. This is from Buy Bitcoin Worldwide, but I just doing some basic research to see what other people thought. I found this resource, and I think it answers a lot of the questions really well. I'm going to put this, if you want to read in more depth, more specific answers to things, I'll just put this link down. Hopefully that'll be helpful. But I'm going to talk more from my experience and my initial thoughts on Coinbase, um, and just go from there. Basically, when my friends and family or whoever I'm talking to asks how to get into crypto, where do they even start? Coinbase is like easily the first place that comes to mind, because really, at least especially here in the U.S., it is one of the only places you can trade your U.S. dollars into crypto. On the exchange itself, you can only buy. You can see here they just added Bitcoin Cash, but Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, and Litecoin, those are the four cryptos you'll be able to buy through Coinbase. But what makes Coinbase unique is that most of the other exchanges, you can't just buy cryptos with your US dollar. You have to buy cryptos with other cryptos. That actually gives Coinbase a huge advantage. And Coinbase is one of the it is one of the biggest exchanges in the world. Um, and a lot of people bash Coinbase basically because um, well, for a number of reasons. Some of them are more complicated, like I don't believe it's activated SegWit yet, which is potentially adding to Bitcoin itself being slower. But we don't have to get into that. As far as directly you as a user, you probably don't care when you're starting out about something like that. Um, uh, it's a little more complex topic, but I think if I was starting out, the things I would be concerned about are safety, and um, I think Coinbase historically has been relatively safe, um, but exchanges historically have not been safe relative to something like a bank account, and just a very good habit is to not leave your funds on an exchange. Do not leave your funds on Coinbase. The back end of Coinbase is called GDAX. It's really the same company, but it's more like the back end product. You would go here. You have a little more control over your trading on GDAX, but same thing. I would not leave any funds on GDAX or Coinbase that you're not trading. Don't store stuff there. Coinbase does try to help, um, by even having what they call a vault, which is basically a little bit extra security. You have to use your Google Authenticator or something similar to that to get money in and out, and it even forces a wait, and it emails you, and you have to verify it. It is relatively secure as something like this goes, but I mean, the standard answer and the standard response is I'm telling it like I'm telling my family, don't store your funds on an exchange, keep them off. But as exchanges go, um, Coinbase has jumped through a lot of hoops, and they trade a lot of money, billions of dollars go through Coinbase, and so far they've done relatively well. Some other things like why a lot of people bash on Coinbase is basically that when people want to trade most, it seems like they are down. Um, so basically, when Bitcoin, for example, decides to jump up significantly in price in a short period of time, people generally either want to buy or sell at that. They're like, people generally think, oh, it's gone up so much in price, let's sell, or oh my gosh, it's jumping up, I want to buy now, hopefully to catch this, momentum. And Coinbase, it's personally, I think I have to give them a break because the amount of people that are joining and signing up at Coinbase in such a short period of time is almost unbelievable, the amount of new users that they are responsible for. But anyway, but what always happens is they crash every single time, and it is very frustrating. Bitcoin goes into a dip, you want to sell or you want to buy the dip, either one. And You want to log into your account, there's a very good chance it's going to say, it's give you some error, and you're not going to be able to get in. It's hard to mention Coinbase without mentioning that those are true things. Um, but overall, I think Coinbase stands out significantly in their interface. Their interface is, in my opinion, like leaps and bounds easier and more user friendly than most other exchanges. Um, and I mean, it's hard for me not to give them credit for that. I mean, one, you have to use them if you're in the United States to get into crypto pretty much. You can get in other ways. The other ways are things like literally finding a person, like finding a friend with Bitcoin and giving them cash or giving them some kind of trade for a coin. That's like pretty much your other option. Um, and as far as going online with USD and buying crypto, it's a very good choice. I think it is relatively safe, although, like I said, you have to protect yourself. That's one of the there isn't someone there to necessarily correct a mistake if someone makes. That's part of how crypto works. Another thing I want to mention, I'm trying to keep this like very, very simple and very basic. Um, so I mean, that's if you're looking for this video, it's because you're new to the space, and so yeah. Anyway, but one thing I want to say is when you get with any crypto you get, Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, or Litecoin, for example, with the four you can get here, you generally get wallet address. There's two your public address and your private address, and Coinbase holds your private address, and I think that's something that new people need to know. The reason that's important is, in a certain sense, it's kind of like Coinbase is acting more like your bank, and it's probably like what a lot of people are used to, and they wouldn't know any difference. That's hopefully I can sort of clarify this, but basically, you need your private keys to actually own your own um, coins. In a certain sense, you effectively feel like you own them in Coinbase, but you're actually working through someone else to get your crypto. And that especially comes important when there are things like hard forks, where, for example, here we have Bitcoin Cash, which was a hard fork from Bitcoin. It's essentially Bitcoin split. It's a bad example, but it's an oversimple, but it's an okay analogy. It's kind of like when stocks split in half. If they get too big, they split in half. One, uh, uh, you end up with two stocks. It it's a horrible example of what a fork is, but in a certain sense, you end up with two. You had one crypto, and now you have two, and the other one is essentially free. And a fork doesn't necessarily cut the price in half like it does with stocks, but um, it's the best way I can explain that. But basically, if you don't have your private key, and there's forks going on with any of these coins, could potentially have forks where there's a new coin coming off of them, and if you had your private key, you would get every single fork essentially free. If you don't have your private key, you're not guaranteed any of those. There's been a lot of forks that have happened off of Bitcoin. Most of them are worthless, and you probably wouldn't want them, but there's been a lot of them that have happened. And if you had your funds in Coinbase, you're never even having the chance of getting the almost 99% of the forks that happen. And and that's another thing to be aware of while you're leaving your funds on Coinbase. And that is something that's different about Coinbase. Most exchanges give you access to well, actually, that's not true. Most exchanges don't give you access to your private key. A lot of exchanges are more willing to they give you more forks. But basically, you really do want to keep your funds off on your own wallet. That's just something to be aware of. It's an easy thing for me to think of and to keep in mind. You might want to do a little more research on that particular topic, your own private keys. But um, I think it is one of the, yeah, easiest places to get into crypto. Crypto is very complicated, And all things considered, it's a totally new paradigm, and they do a good job of interfacing that well. Um, and um, so for that reason, I think that's awesome. We need things like that. We need companies like Coinbase out there that are helping bridge that gap. And then yeah, they're relatively trustworthy. I would definitely um, uh, Coinbase, I think, will go out of their way to treat your bank account and you're gonna have to take pictures of your driver's license and stuff to sign up. And I think they're not some sketch company. They're very well established. And yeah, so I would recommend Coinbase. And along with that, I would also sign up for GDAX. Um, Along these lines, I have more in-depth videos talking about like um, kind of hopefully more beginning level as well. What all these things mean to help you use this more to your advantage. I also have a video on how to even buy on Coinbase. Um, it's really not that hard, and I bet you can figure it out if you tried. But if you want to watch a video, I have one, and I'll put those links to these other videos in the description. But anyway, I think Coinbase is very well needed. They do crash. They don't give you your private keys, but I recommend them. And really, if you want to get into crypto, it's hard to get in without a site like Coinbase. If you have any specific questions, um, let me know. I'll try to answer them. I'll try to respond to your comment if you have one, or I might even do another video. Anyway, I hope this was helpful. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a good day.